appear up on the screen here. Hang on one second, I'm sorry, I had it all.
So this will apply to members who are automated reports. If you're not automated, might not be here. Does the panel maybe want to talk a little bit while Mike is doing this about the holding the circulation number? About when you need to stick with what's in Thirsty and when you can add circulation from in-library use and whatnot. What is the general guideline for what we can count as a circulation?
Items that patrons can check out, that they can take home with them.
What about libraries count in library use?
I don't think you can, from what I recall. You cannot count in-house usage. You have to be able to check it out.
So generally speaking, if you're automated, your CERC number should reflect what you put in the report, more or less. If for some reason what you report in the annual report is very different than the figures that Mike shows you, please put in a local note why that is.
So Carolyn Huseman from the Prendergast helped me out an awful lot with the reports because this is my 14th, 15th month here. And we went down through the annual report and found places that technology or the director station would give us reports that would help you answer the questions. There's a few others, such as like your internet speed, that I have in the email I'm sending out to you. I'll have links to websites that you can test your internet speed, but you can also look at your bill. And in the email, which there's a copy of it up on the screen that I'm going to be sending to you, there's basically notes that go along with the reports that I'm sending. So if you have struggles, I would say, with Excel, give me a call or your system consultant and we can help you with those. We have the ability to remote into your computers and kind of take control to show you some simple things in Excel. But here's a list of the reports that I'm going to be sending out. Some libraries perhaps didn't get any books from outside the library system, so you might be missing that report, but most of you will have these reports. And this is Busteyes, Hazeltine's numbers. So here's interlibrary loan materials provided, 21. So if you didn't have any books, you might not get this report. If it didn't generate a report, I'm not sending one with a 0. Cataloged editions. Again, so here, what I get so that you can see it. So this is going to give you your totals, and then not being a librarian, you will need to sum the numbers from these various fields up to get the answers for the annual report. And it can be as simple as just using the auto sum function. Again, if you need help doing things like this, let us know and we can help. I just wanted to kind of review what I'm sending.
So the reason we give you the matrix like that is we don't necessarily know what you count as a juvenile, what you count as adult, etc. So different libraries use different categories. So you know better than us what categories we use for different things. So we're letting you do the count. Essentially, you do your own count of what goes and in which category.
I was just wondering why, if you're sending that out like that, you couldn't put that total formula in there already.
Just fine.
Yeah, I think there's 196 reports. And as an example, to answer that, so one of the reports that I'm going to be sending is your service area, resident users. I don't know what your service area is. So that makes it very difficult for me to tally up the numbers saying who's in your service area and how many patrons you have out of your service area. So it's hard for me to create those formulas. And I guess I'm providing the numbers and trusting that you'll know the answers to those pieces once you have the numbers in front of you. And if you don't, we can work together to get to those answers.
Giving you all this information gives you a really good snapshot of things. Where your users are coming from. You can see exactly how many items you added in each category. You know, circulation is really useful. Yeah.
When we were on the first report and we were counting our circulation, are those things we've added to CERC or only things that we've purchased through the system?
That's a great question.
So catalog additions?
Yes.
That would be, no matter,
It would be, what's on his chart would be what was added to CERC.
yeah, so as long as if you purchased it from Amazon and you added it to CERC, it would be in there.
For sure. Well, actually, if you want to start with a phone call, you know, if you're working on it right then and there, and you have a question, call me. And yeah, the first bet is my cell, which if I've ever emailed you, all my phone numbers are in my signature, which I would love if all you did the same thing, because a lot of times I'm on the road and I want to call you back, but your signature, your email didn't have your phone number in it, but that's a little pet peeve. But yeah, call me on my cell phone, and the nice thing is if you do call the office, it transfers to my cell phone anyways. So, but I don't want to slow you down, and if you can start with a phone call, maybe I can help you right then and there, rather than 2 hours from now I read your email, you've already gone home. So I don't mind phone calls, and if I can't, if I'm too busy, I'll just let it go to voicemail.
And what is your cell phone number?
716-450-4421, which should be in the directory that's on the website as well.
No, we don't have your cell phone.
Oh, it's not on there? Okay, sorry.
But I'll set it up.
4421, 450-4421.
I have another question about the interlibrary loans. Is that titles from our shelf that go out to other people, or
There's
titles
both.
we're requesting it?
There's both. You have interlibrary loan that you've loaned and interlibrary loan that you've borrowed.
We'll go into detail on that in a minute.
Okay. There's only one
So-
column on that.
Yeah, so like,
You may not have borrowed anything, or you
So-
may not have loaned anything.
and this is an example, there's interlibrary loan materials you received and interlibrary loan materials provided. In this case, Bust-I has not received any, they only provided any, so the received report isn't here. I think the received report was, there's very few libraries that receive materials from outside of the library system.
Outside of the library system.
Or on,
Correct.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
or from any of our non-automated
Well,
libraries.
we'll go into that in a minute. Are you okay for that? Okay, so Mike's gonna send you all those, let me know if you have any questions.
Eli?
Yeah.
If you look in the instructions, the state instructions, under Part 4, there is a very good explanation of what circulation is, what you can count and you can't count. You can send something as an interloan to someone else, you cannot count that as circulation. It's not your circulation.
All right, we're going to start now with section 1. General library information. Much of section 1.1 to 1.35 will be pre-filled and you cannot change it. If you notice any errors, do let me know, but you won't be able to fix them right there. Section 1.36 to 1.41 asks you about your current library director, not your 2014 library director. So if you had a director change, use the current one, not the one from 2013. 1.42 says the library charge fees, the library card. This would only be yes if you charge an individual outside of Chautauqua and Cattaraugus. Hopefully no one's charging for within our counties. 1.43 is your budget subject to a public vote. Last year, the libraries that are up there right now said yes, so presumably you would say yes again. I don't know of any new libraries added to that list. Library collection, section 2. And this is where the half sheet handout comes into place, I believe. Each category here, 2014 holdings must be less than or equal to 2013 holdings plus 2014 additions. So if you reported in 2013 that you had 10,000 books and you're telling us now that you added 500 books, then you can't say that you now have 11,000 books. That math doesn't work, and the state will have a problem with it. However, do not subtract your withdrawals. So if you started with 10,000, added 500, and we did 100, your additions would still be 500. It wouldn't be 400, it would be 500, even though your total holdings is 10,000. 2.1 to 2.12, print materials. If you're automated, Mike will send you the chart. 2.8, total uncatalogued books. These are books, hardcover or paperback, for which you don't have a shelf list or a catalog card, and obviously that aren't in CERC. 2.9, total print materials. This is where you answer with the number of volumes, not the individual issues. If you look at your pink sheet now, this is a cheat sheet for common periodicals, and it'll tell you how many volumes per year each of those periodicals publishes. So each one is going to be different, and volume is different than issues. Video, unfortunately, currently the state is not letting us count video circulations. They're saying that video is a subscription database, so we can only count it as a database, but we can't count it as service. We have protested, and I would expect that by next year that will change. So, for example, let's say Antique Magazine has 2 volumes per year. It might very well have 6 issues that year, but it only counts as 2 volumes for 2.9. Are there any questions on that? All right. 2.13 to 2.20, this is electronic materials and databases. The directors in the room will have a sheet from Megan which details what you should put on those lines. If you subscribe to your own database on top of what we provide you with, then go ahead and add that and put in a local note. What the question is, what does a local database mean? Do we have examples of a local database?
Yeah, like, okay, the FDO people, Silver Creek and Olean and Jamestown, for 2014 can count FDO, the Foundation Directory Online Database. So any database that is only available at your library. So it's not, but the state moved, combined the system databases and local into that same line for the last couple of years. So in this line, like Jamestown would count FDO plus the system databases. So whatever you purchase on your own, plus the system databases.
What about those libraries that have a database of local history photographs or something like that? Like a special collections database?
You know, I wish those people would contact us directly and we can research that.
Yeah. Collections of digital photographs is in 2.19.
Yeah.
0.19. So that would be other electronic materials.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, but if you do have any questions on a database, please just let your consultant know, and we'll research it.
Any other questions on e-materials or databases? right, 2.15, Novel New York, that's pre-filled and locked by the DLD, so you cannot change that. 2.12 to 2.24, non-electronic materials. This would include audio, video, film, slides, etc. 2.26 is asking you about serial subscriptions. So if it's asking you about serials again, it doesn't want to know the number you have in your building, it wants to know how many subscriptions you have.
2.22, video, streaming, DVD.
Yes,
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, 2.22 would be video DVDs. Books on CD would be 2.21. Any other questions? Yeah, Karen?
Eli, at the beginning, you had said about holding, we don't withdraw, but according to the instructions state, we do.
Yeah, so that's the total holdings will include the withdrawal. Yeah, good question. The question was going back to the line regarding total holdings. Of course, your total holdings will include withdrawals. You know, the total line, they do want to know what you actually have in your building. So there you would subtract the withdrawals. But you wouldn't subtract the withdrawals from your additions. It doesn't want to know the net additions, it wants to know the gross additions. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
For 2.27 to 2.31, include gifts and purchases to your additions. So additions is not just books you purchased, it's also donations that have been given to you that you actually added to your collection. Any additions should have corresponding expenses listed on 12.6 to 12.8, unless they were gifts. So if you spent money on books, if you purchased books that you added to your collection, you would report them as additions to holdings here, but then there also should be a corresponding expense to those additions in section 12. And if those numbers are largely out of whack, we'll notice it, we'll question it. There is a chance that if you had a large number of donations, that you will get an edit check, in which case you'll have to supply more information to the state note. But you can cross that bridge as it comes. Any more questions on section 2? Okay, section 3, programs, policies, and services. According to this report, children are defined as people who are 11 years of age and under. Young adults are 12 to 18. Adults are 18 and above. Where age levels overlap, decide whether your program is intended primarily for children or young adults. All of the programs that have no, all of the programs have no clearly identifiable particular age group. Each session is an individual program. So in other words, if you have a children's program, whether to count it as a teen program or a children's program, you're just going to, in your mind, have to say who was the target audience for this. If you get half children and half teens to show up, if you divide this as a teen program, count them all as teens for the purpose of this report. Count all of the audience regardless of age in attendance. If you have an adult program and some of the adults bring a couple kids, you'll have to count the kids as adults for the purpose of this report. Include the summer figures and the totals. So I think this section starts with the totals. How many adults came to your program this year? Down below it asks you how many adults came to your summer program. The first section is the total. It includes everything that's underneath. Does that make sense? So 3.1, library visits. If you don't have an automatic counter or keep a daily tally, then the recommended thing to do is to count. Do a tally for a week and a month and multiply. Count for a week, how many people knock through your door, multiply by 52. Registered borrowers, 3.2 to 3.3. Mike will send the charts of those to you as we discussed. Resident borrowers are card holders who live within your charter to serve area. Non-resident borrowers are people who have your library card, but they live outside of your charter to serve area. So that's something you can figure out from the report Mike sent. 3.4 to 3.9 are all policies that you should have. Please be aware, I'll reiterate it again, conflict of interest, you are now required by law to have that policy.
Could you describe what that would be, a conflict of interest policy?
A conflict of interest policy, I don't want to get too much into it now, but that is one policy where they give us a lot of guidance on. Most policies, we're not really given a whole lot of guidance at all. Conflict of interest policy, according to the law, has to have certain things. I will send that out again. I'll do that today. I'll send out a list of what that has along with the recommended policy. So it should be really easy for you to adopt it. But I mean, essentially, it's saying that a board member should not have a personal financial stake in things the library funds. 3.12 to 3.21, that includes summer reading and early literacy, as I said. So give the total. 3.23, answer 1, if you did a summer reading program, Seneca Nation and Seymour Library, because you have 2 branches, or a library branch, you could report 2 there. 3.24 to 3.25, please make sure that the figures used in the valley at the end of the summer match what you put into this report. 3.36 to 3.43, when it asks you how many collaborators and who your collaborators are, what is a collaborator? It is not a donor of money. It is not the school telling children about your program. A collaborator must be an active participant. They have to provide assistance or service. If the school provides a bus to drive kids to your library or the rec department, uses a bus to drive the kids for a library program, they are, in fact, collaborators. Yep.
If they allow you space to do a program in their facility, they're a collaborator.
So if we have like a music school, they're going in and doing a monthly or whatever, music program, they're collaborating.
They're coming to do the program for you, yes.
Any other questions on collaborators?
So we have a volunteer who goes into the school to do a preschool program. That's a collaborative.
The school is the collaborator because they're offering space for you to do that program.
Now, if it's for summer reading,
In that one section, this section of collaborators is specifically summer reading stuff. If you'll notice, there are collaborators under early literacy as well and under ESOL. So there's, it depends on which program you're doing.
Yes.
what if you went out into the school to teach you to find to
If you are doing a program in the school, they're providing the students and they are providing the
I think
space.
you talk about promotion though, right?
Yeah, but that's
Go to the
more,
school to tell them about.
that's more than the school just handing out a bookmark.
Yeah, I would count that. I would
Yes.
count that. Others? Collaborators. 3.44 to 3.50, what is early literacy? By definition, you have an early literacy program if you have a story time for children aged 5 or under. 5 or under. The next 2 sections ask about adult literacy and ESOL, which is not English as a second language, but 3.65 to 3.67. Do we want to, Valley or Megan, do we want to touch on the how to count adult literacy programs. Not get into that. If you have any questions about how to count adult literacy program sessions,
That's GED.
would GED classes count?
No, they count in, are you doing them or is somebody coming in to do them? They count as non-sponsored, and that's back over in, where is it? That's on another place. Part 9, number 19. Total number of non-library sponsored programs or meetings at this outlet. If you are conducting the GED, that's your program. If somebody else is doing it, it's their program.
Digital literacy are programs that teach basic computer skills, how to create an email account, etc. If someone just shows up at your library and asks you a computer question, it does not count for the program. Library transactions, again, versus book circulation, if you're automated, Michael will send you charts. Explain in a local note, there's a big difference, 20% difference from last year. Other material is everything except books. Electronic material, Megan will send you the figures for those.
I do have it in your handout package. This handout right here. So you just have to add the totals together in each database.
All right, so you should all have that. All right, reference transactions. We want to give a definition of what a reference transaction is.
Well, can I just add something
Sure.
about, Megan had sent out an email a couple weeks ago asking how many of us use the spreadsheets that she provides for us for parts 2 and parts 4. And I don't know how many people don't use them, but I highly recommend using them. It keeps track of everything by the month, and it's broken down into exactly what figures you need for the annual report. So at the end of the year, you just print it out and put those numbers right into your report.
Oh, did you all hear that?
Instead of waiting for Mike to send something out,
This is a template Excel sheet you have created already.
Exactly, yeah, it's been, it was created a few years ago.
By Bobby Caswell and Camille Ganan. They both are.
Yeah, so it's, the 2014 ones are online right now, and the annual reports are online. And then we're updating to 2015.
Right, I have updated some of them, and I will continue next week. I should have them all done. So if we just check that for 2015.
Great, all right, who wants to give a definition of what a reference transaction is? Someone on the panel?
And in your instructions, under question 4.14, there's a long list of definitions, but the main one is that reference transactions are things in which the library staff recommends, interpret, evaluate, or use information resources to help others meet their needs, their information needs. One note they have on here, it says, it is essential that libraries do not use directional transactions in the report of references. Things like, where's the reference librarian, where's Susan Smith, where's the restroom, where's the 600s, where's the photocopier? Those are not reference questions. So there's a good, long definition in there of what a reference question is.
4.15, if you take questions from patrons by email, then you have virtual reference.
How is anyone counting that? I mean,
We don't actually have to, do we have to count those?
No,
We don't have
you
to
just
count
have to
those.
say yes
The
or no.
question is
just
just,
yes or no.
do you provide virtual reference? That was a new question a couple years ago. And so the obvious question was, well, how do you define virtual reference? And the guidance we got is that if you have an email on your website where patrons can send you by email questions, then that is a virtual reference. Okay, here we go. Interlibrary loan received and interlibrary loan provided. This depends on whether you are automated or non-automated. If you are not automated, count all material you borrowed from another library. If you are automated, count loans from non-automated libraries and out of system. libraries. So do not count loans from other libraries that are also on CERC, also automated. So these are the numbers in my data. So if you're just requesting a vote from another automated library, that does not count as an interlibrary loan. Providing ILL, again, if you're not automated, count all materials you loan to another library, whether they're automated, not automated, in the system or out of the system. Everything is an interlibrary loan for you. If you're automated, count only loans made to non-automated and out-of-system libraries. Is that clear to everyone? Any questions? Make sense? Technology and telecommunications, section 5. 5.1 and 5.2 answer no if you're not automated. 5.3, all CERC libraries can answer yes. And 5.3, what is that question? Online public access catalog, so Salamanca, you could answer yes. 5.4, annual number of visits to the library's website. If you don't have a counter, check with Megan or Mike. Megan will provide you with this year. Now that we have Enterprise and you all have Enterprise pages, we're going to count those as website history as well. So Megan will provide you with those numbers and add to your personal website.
We have
Your
a
library's
Facebook
website.
page.
Facebook page hits?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yes. Is there an easy way to count those?
They give you a report.
5.6, if you do not keep a tally, this is a number of public internet uses. If you do not keep a tally in one form or another, then do a sample and multiply. Do a sample for the group and multiply. And 5.6, that will be a good one if you don't have the way of doing that right now. That's my clear option. All right, part 6, staff information. Okay, these figures you are reporting on as of the last day of 2014. So these are not current figures, these are 2014, December 31st figures. Include FTEs for all positions funded in the library's budget, whether these positions are filled or not. So if you have a vacancy, count it. Use the numbers of hours that the director or manager is paid to work each week to calculate the FTEs. So if you're a library where the director only works 20 hours, your FTE basis is 20 hours for the purposes of this report.
There's a question about how do we find the total number of hits on Facebook? So I don't get Facebook. Is that pretty easy?
Yeah, well, I'll contact the person.
And yeah, in your Facebook page, you can click on activity, I believe, and get the report. Include any employees whose wages are reported on 12.3. So when we discussed this in 12.3, we said refer to what we reported in 6, and we're saying the vice versa. Include employees that you reported their wages on 12.3. And again, when you report the salary of the manager and director, use the salary at the end of 2014, not their current salary. Okay, question 7 asks about minimum standards. The state requires that all libraries comply with minimum standards, so if you do not meet any of them, please let me know as soon as possible. These include, you have to have bylaws, you have to have a long-range plan, you have to make an annual report to the community, you have to have policies, although there's no guidance on what those policies are, just that they are board-approved policies. You have to present a budget to your funding agencies every year. You have to periodically evaluate your collections and services, although how you do that is up to you. You have to meet the minimum open hours for your population served. You have to maintain an adequate facility. You have to provide certain equipment, including phone, copier, fax, computer, and printer. You have to distribute printed information about the library, such as your open hours, website, your phone number, and you have to employ a paid director or manager that meets the minimum standards. If you have any questions about what those standards are, please let me know. Section 8, public service information. 8.1 is your main library. All member libraries except Seneca Nation answer 1. You have 2 branches and 0 main libraries. Seymour Library, you have 1 main library and 1 branch. 8.4, other outlets. You have deposit collections at nursing homes, etc. here. 8.6 to 8.13. The answer to 8.6 must at least equal the hours listed in the minimum standards chart. Do not subtract holidays from this list. From this tally. And the answer to 8.10 should be equal to or larger than the answer to 8.6, which is your weekly hours times 52. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yep.
Going back to the, commissioner's regulation on police commission. For the employees and the directors. How do I work on
Okay, so if you would like to know what the minimum standards actually are, they're that's on the state's instruction. You can always Google New York Department of Library Development minimum standards, and you'll find them pretty easily. Or of course, just ask me. Section 9.28, total number of internet terminals used by the general public. If your answer is changed, please let us know why. 9.31, if you have no way of counting your yearly wireless usage, which many of you do not. Try a rough tally for 1 week and multiply by 52. We understand that is very difficult to do, so do your best. If you want to try to get an accurate count, please ask Mike. This is an issue that's very much on our radar because we feel like it's a very important statistic that you should be reporting to your funding agencies and to your community. Because someone might not be coming in to use your public computer, but they very well might be coming in to sit down with their laptop or their tablet or their phone and use your internet. So we do need, a better way to be able to track this thing. So it's very much on our radar. Mike knows some options. Let me know if you want to try to get a better count on this. Section 10, trustees and officers. This one you use 2015 information. So you're using current information here, not 2014 information. You will have to remove the names of past trustees because this is all pre-filled. And you'll have to add the new ones. You have to have a house number for each library. You'll feel about it on it. You have to have a house number for each trustee because in New York, every house has a number. List the president is the first trustee. Officers, there's now new options in that drop-down list for the various officers. And then anyone who's not the president or an officer just say they are a trustee. You'll have to provide email addresses for all your trustees. If your trustee does not have an email address, then just make one up. I don't mean make up the address. Make them a Harvard Library trustee1@gmail.com account. So, do make an actual email. Someone clearly made it up. But in other words, you might have to help some of your trustees get email addresses, but that is required now. No, they don't want you to use the library's email address. They want each trustee to have a unique email, I believe. The number of trustees, oh, and again, we don't need phone numbers this year. The board president's phone number is required, but we're no longer asking for phone numbers from each trustee in this report. Give that to us through the directory update form, please. The number of trustee records must equal the number reported on 10.3. So if you reported that you have 10 trustee board, then you should have 10 trustee records. If you need to, you can create a separate record for any vacant positions. Click Update after entering each trustee. It will not automatically save. This is current information. Is this a brand new trustee? That was a new question that was added last year. The guidance we've been given is if the trustee has been on a board at any time in the past, any library board, even if it was a different library, then they're not brand new. They're only brand new if they've never been on a library board in their past. To give you some context for this, they are considering a law that would require mandatory training of library trustees, the way that school board members have to get mandatory training. That would only apply to brand new trustees. That law has not been enacted, but they're getting used to it. They're getting us used to answering this question. So if and when that law is enacted, they'll have the information of who is a brand new trustee. All right, lastly, check and complete your edit checks. Any red edit checks must be transformed to green edit checks by completing the requested note. If it asks you to put in a statement to explain something, you'll have to do that, or else it'll still be a red edit check. It will let you know if you have any unanswered questions. Complete those. Print a copy of the report for your own file. You do not need to send us a copy of the report. Once you have printed your copy, click on the Submit button. This will lock your report so you can no longer work on it, and it will enable us to start doing our checks. Pat yourself on the back for another fun annual report experience. And we will get back in touch with you with any questions we have or any further notes we need from you. And just another reminder, if you take forever getting back to us, it holds up everyone's report. So please try to get back to us soon because we have deadlines and state people we need to keep happy. Yep.
Let's say we anticipate information coming from Latin
Today, I'm going to start sending them out today.
My information, you guys actually have it. The green sheet has the figures for overdrive, how many titles we have, so it's in here. So, yep. So, and then your search would be in this handout here. But if that's not clear, please email me, and I can give you anything you need from my department. Yes. Oh, okay. We'll talk, yeah, okay.
All right, we went about 10 minutes over, so thanks for your patience. Oh, good question. Yeah, just asking, the action for working on this. The report has not been officially opened yet. So if you start working on it now, the state might clear all the data off. I would recommend that we've given you a printout. You can start writing it by hand, so when it is open, you can just plug it in. The state told us 2 weeks ago that this annual report would be open any day, and then the library would be open by the end of the month. Now it's 28th, and we haven't received by that either. So if you start working on it, you're doing it at your own peril, like Dave might, so I would recommend you wait until I give you the go ahead. Yeah. All right, any other questions, but, thank you.